everybody, I'm David Zere. Thank you for joining the RAV family today. Trying to bring you the best coverage and the truth, what's going on the ground, listening to real American voices around the country. And Trump's doing that, right? These independent journalists, they're putting everything on the line. Guys like Nick Sauter and all these great independent guys out there. And, we got Ben Bergquam, who's the top border correspondent there is. And he's all over the place, telling the truth about what's going on. And here to discuss the Trump Roundtable with independent journalists and other items going on, Director of Research for the Government Accountability Institute, Seamus Bruner. Welcome to the show.
David, it is so great to be with you.
Yeah. Crazy times. Have you ever thought it would come down to this, where if it wasn't for a handful of brave, independent people in the streets telling the truth, we might not be getting the truth from the MSM, right? Tell us about the roundtable.
Yeah, that's right. Each person there, with really myself excluded, has put their life on the line, going right into the fray, catching a lot of fists and kicks and getting bloodied just to report the truth on Antifa and all of these other radical organizations, because they change their name and they shift their branding. Antifa is just kind of one of them, but there are so many other radicals out there who believe that violence is an acceptable way of getting their political objectives. That's not the case. Donald Trump, and that is what most left-wing organizations like the Brennan Center, that's how they define terrorism, is using violence mostly against civilian targets, but also government targets, to achieve political objectives. So Donald Trump has declared that Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization. That designation, it's a tricky thing to carry out, because it's on the one hand, Antifa is organized. It has dues and members and funding and all of these things. On the other, you can shed the label pretty easily and just say, well, no, I'm not Antifa anymore. But really what the designation does is it opens up a whole toolbox of tools for the administration to use. Every agency, whether it's Homeland Security, the DOJ, the FBI, Treasury, the IRS, they can really start to unpack what exactly is Antifa, what is this ecosystem of organized political violence, and how do we tackle it. And so I really truly believe that we are at the precipice of an end to what we've called Riot Inc., Riot Incorporated. We think that there's a whole, like any company, Riot Inc. has its foot soldiers, of course, like Antifa, but it's also got a marketing and a communications division. It's got lobbying divisions and government affairs divisions. It's got a legal division. That would be like the groups like ACLU and the National Lawyers Guild, which bail these violent criminals out of jail as soon as possible to get them back onto the streets. Yeah. And so it is a lot bigger, I think, than the administration, or at least a lot of people all across the country realize. It is a huge network. It's not just the violent criminals on the ground. And by declaring Antifa a domestic terror organization, really what it does is it's going to allow for prosecutions for things, federal prosecutions for things that were previously just state and local prosecutions. So these rioters, they would get arrested, and then the Democrat blue cities the prosecutors would let them out of jail with slaps on the wrist, if that. Yeah. Now, when you get federal charges, you're going to be locked up.
Sure. And the Government Accountability Institute, you just named the people involved with a lot of these organizations. I think we know a lot more now than we did in the past. And you're talking about millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, even coming from Switzerland and other places. And taxpayer money, U.S. taxpayer money, right?
Yeah, that's right. So at the Government Accountability Institute, we follow the money. That's really our MO. And so we followed it all the way to the top of the protest industrial complex. And so what we found is it's not just Soros. Everybody says, Soros, it's Soros funding these guys. It's not just Soros. Of course, it is him in the Open Society network that he has. And now his son is going to take over. Alex Soros. But it's also the Arabella funding network. Yep. And for those who haven't heard of Arabella Advisors and its funds that it advises, like the New Venture Fund, the 1630 Fund, the Windward Fund, there's at least 7 of them that fund all kinds of aspects of this professional protest industry. And so that's the Arabella network. The Tides network is a big one. And then you've got the Ford Foundation and the Ford Network. And one of the really scary ones is the Neville Roy Singham network. And this is the People's Forum and Code Pink. Yep. And this guy is living in Shanghai, funding chaos in our streets. And so what we've done is we have totaled up all of the money that the Soros Network, Arabella Network, Tides Network, Singham Network, etc., have provided to Riot Inc. And the numbers are staggering. It's over 100 million. We're finding more all the time. I just got back from Washington, D.C., and we found $10 million more coming from these guys to the radical agitators and enablers of civil unrest. And then, to the question of government funding, people would be shocked to learn that their taxpayer dollars, our taxpayer dollars, are going to fund these big NGOs, like the Tides Network and the Soros Network. They all receive tens of millions of dollars in some cases, to the point where we found over $100 million. And we were very careful to make sure that an entity that received government taxpayer grants and funding then in turn did go and fund some of these civil unrest enablers. Yes. And so that over $100 million, that's going directly into Soros or Tides type entities that then go and fund civil unrest. Yeah. So really shocking stuff.
Yeah, it is. I covered the NYU, the Columbia protests and some of the NYU stuff. I was in the mix with the anti-ICE protests outside of Federal Plaza in New York City. I was getting bounced around out there, but thank God the police took the gloves off and they cracked down. But there weren't any Hispanics protesting. It was all like white girls from like Dix Hills, New York, and a couple of black guys. And they all had the schmatas on and everything. But I've seen a lot of the same people around the country at these events, from Washington, D.C. to New York City. And, security's always told me, guys who work to protect Trump and stuff, that they see the same people traveling around U.S. airports going from the city du jour, right? There's an organized network.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. And, one of the things that a colleague presented yesterday at the Roundtable, and it comes from the Capital Research Center, who are good friends of ours, this report titled Infiltrated, and it's how all of these Antifa types, these radical Marxist types who want to overthrow our country, they have infiltrated the homeless industrial complex, the homelessness thing, which gets a lot of government money. And what that allows for is, one, it allows for diverting money. But what a couple of guys, told me yesterday, who they actually are on the ground in Portland and in Seattle and Chicago at these anti-ICE demonstrations, is that they're using that there are mentally unwell, which goes hand in hand with homelessness, homeless individuals living in these encampments, et cetera, that are being flown around. They don't have the money to be flown around. And so this is like exploitation of people with mental health issues. It's really, really sick stuff. So it's not just diverting taxpayer money that should be going toward solving homelessness. It's also exploiting the homeless themselves.
Yeah, I would go further and say that a lot of the 20-year-olds, male and female, on the street who are college graduates or students are mentally ill because they can't hold the conversation. What's going on is just vile. It's vile.
Well, and there's one more thing, David. Mentally unwell people are perfect for attacking ICE, attacking federal buildings, and causing chaos and unrest, because then the judge lets them out because they're they on a mental health issue, so they're not held responsible for the actions because they can plead insanity.
Wow. Okay, so we have about a minute and a half left. I wanted to ask you, where can our viewers follow you and get involved? Because the Government Accountability Institute is really putting the pieces together. And I know you did a lot of work with Peter Schweizer, right?
Yeah. So you can follow Peter Schweizer. He's my dear friend and colleague. I've worked with him since 2011. He's at Peter Schweizer on Twitter. I'm at Seamus Bruner, SEAMUS. BRUNER, and that's where we drop a lot of stuff in real time. We also have a website. It's called thedrilldown.com, thedrilldown.com. And then my book, I cover a lot of this stuff. It's titled Controligarchs. It's the word control smashed together with the word oligarchs, controligarchsbook.com. And there's chapters on Soros and all the rest of these big funders.
Okay, really, really important stuff. And for so many years, I'm happy that it's kind of coming to this, and I'm happy that Trump is there because he's putting it together, right? You guys, everybody out there, the independent journalists, you're putting it together. And Peter Schweizer kind of started this train moving years ago by exposing Clinton cash and all the other stuff, right? So it's so great to have you on the show, Seamus Bruner. I really appreciate it. Can I have you back?
No, absolutely. I look forward to it, David. Right. Thank you. I've got another interview at 5:15, so I got to jump. Thank you.
Thank you, Seamus.